Yo, Tyler Shuck on the Drew Brees arc. You know how Drew Brees can't lift his shoulder up anymore because he injured it back in, what was it, 2005? It's Shuck's time to do that. Anyways, guys, being real here, yeah, it's Saints time, and how good are they going to be? And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe. Hope y'all are ready for the New Orleans Saints. Mardi Gras and all that. Trying to get my en français. The fun. Anyways, yeah, this team is it's an interesting group. Again, as I always say, if you have not watched past roster grading videos of teams, if you're just here for the Saints, go watch the first timestamp of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I'm right with that one. It was Titans last year. I think we started the Jags this year. So go watch the first timestamp of that one. That is in this 2026 NFL roster grades playlist. That will get you guys all you need to know on this. Basically, again, we got the range here. What the heck are we doing? Why isn't it fitting? And then we also have this. So yeah. But yeah, anyways, again, Saints fans want to see their roster and what I think of it. So yeah, let's get into it. Again, we go through quarterback, then our skill positions, then our O-line, and then the rest is pretty self-explanatory. With that said, though, the Saints quarterback situation is definitely an interesting group. It is a group that has shown promise or no promise in their careers at some points. I will definitely be going into depth on what's going on here. We already kind of mentioned Shuck, what's going on with him. No, I'm joking. He's not injured. He's chilling. But, again, obviously, Hunter Decker's the fourth guy on this roster. I'm not going to lie, guys. Hunter Deckers is a little bit of a scumbag. He's just not a great dude. He is a guy, though, I will say, who is not a untalented quarterback. He has, honestly, a really strong arm, in my opinion, for a guy who, again, is coming out of JUCO, and again, obviously the bad gambling suspension, and he's on the fourth. I mean, this guy's just got it all. 4th of July gambling suspension. He's literally Brendan Sorsby's like godfather. Who knows? I'm joking on that, but this is an interesting person. He's not very bright, I can tell you that, but he does process defenses pretty well, at least innately. And in my opinion, he's a guy that, again, at least just in terms of the NFL quarterback, he is a guy that does like meet the profile for. What is he? 6'4", 6'5". Or 6'1", my bad. But obviously he's nothing special because, again, if he was really that good, he would have been picked or drafted by a team. No, he wouldn't have been, bro. This guy is an absolute tool. Anyways, though, third string guy who made the roster, Zach Wilson. He's fighting for the backup spot. Is he a guy that I think could win it? Honestly, maybe. Zach Wilson hasn't played football since 2023, and he obviously was horrible that year, got booed off the field. That was in 2022, my bad. He was, like, I guess, a little better in 2023, but we all know he's a massive bust, guys. Biggest problem with him is that he could not read out the field consistently, especially getting to his third read, which, again, was his biggest problem. And he did not have a sense of what God gave him in terms of sensing pressure. So, Zach Wilson is obviously an interesting dude. And I don't think he's got any better. He's backed up. It was the third string to Quinn Ewers last year. He literally got benched as a backup. I don't even know how that's possible. And then you also had 2024, who was at Denver and didn't sniff the field, even though Bo Nix, he probably could have started. I'm joking. Definitely not. And Jarrett Stidham beat him too. Anyways, Spencer Rattler, he's here. Obviously, tumultuous college career. Last 2024, he started. He went 0-6. Honestly, the best way to start his career is he's a loser. I think he's like 1-13 or something abysmal like that as a starter. 24, he honestly wasn't too terrible. Still wasn't very good though. I think the numbers don't do it justice. He was pretty accurate. Last year, he kind of sucked, honestly, overall. Really, the only thing that helped him out was the fact that, again, if we're talking about efficiency-wise, he honestly wasn't that bad. But again, he went 1-8 or 1-7 as a starter. He was miserable against the Bucs in that last start. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Spencer Rattler is not an NFL quarterback really on an everyday level. I mean, maybe he can be a spot starter here and there. But talent-wise, even just any way you look at it, he's just not a guy you really are too happy about. He can, I will say, run an offense. It's just the fact that he is not going to have any upside with you there. So, I guess as a backup, he's not the worst guy to have, but again, he's literally 1-13 as a starter, guys. What else do you want me to not tell you? Then we have Tyler Shuck, who was kind of their saving grace in those last 4 games. He obviously didn't have the greatest start to his career, but again, still really solid numbers. Again, he threw the ball downfield at a very high level, definitely towards the end of the season. Obviously, Jets, Titans that's not really saying much against defenses he's going against. Against the Falcons, he obviously had a little bit of a tougher time, but his footwork got much, much better. His mobility is something that I don't think a lot of people speak to. Obviously, it's not a huge part of his game, but he's still a guy that can give you at least something there. But again, he's 26 years old. Again, that was the biggest thing I harped on. This guy's old. He gets injured a crap ton. He's just not a guy I'm really looking too good into. But I will say he ran that offense super duper well last year, and he is a guy that you literally look in terms of anticipation definitely has it. Again, you look at his starts throughout the year. Again, obviously didn't play a lot to start the season. The Rams game, again, he didn't really have a chance, and I honestly don't think he played too bad. Again, they got absolutely steamrolled. Panthers game, I think that was probably the best game overall from his season. While that game they didn't score a ton of points per se. Again, they couldn't run the ball in that one. The O-line, I think they did a good enough job, giving him a solid pocket, where he just simply just cooked. Falcons game obviously wasn't his greatest. The Dolphins one was again an absolute wild one. Then again, he really had that really strong 4-game stretch after the 2-10 start. Again, where they won all 4 of the games against bad teams. We'll say that. Again, also the Saints schedule is really easy this year. But I will say Tyler should got a really nice season. For me though, I'm gonna probably give them a C- at quarterback. I really think Tyler Shoug's a guy that will be a solid guy option for them this year. I just don't think there's really the upside to where you're like, this is a guy who can carry your team to the division. And at the same time, say I fully trust him. I have seen this dude, prove that he is the guy in this offense. And just for that reason, again, I got to give him a C-. Still, though, again, this is a guy that I really expect to be a solid option, again, solid quarterback for them this year, and at the very least, be, I don't know, a 23 touchdown passer, and with, again, at least 4,000 yards, because that, I think, is definitely a solid target for them. That is all I have for Tyler Shough. Again, he went what? Finished 5-12. He went like 4-5 in his starts, something like that. But that's all I have for Tyler Shough in this offense. Let's get into the skill positions. All right, guys, moving on to the Saints skill position group. Again, we'll have to start at running back and move through the rest of this. Honestly, guys, I'm really stoked to see how this group really develops this season, because I'm not going to lie, guys, it's one of the more talented groups in the league, and honestly, just off of ceiling, I really like where this group's going. Again, running back starting here, you know what? Screw it. We'll start with the starter. Travis Etienne had a huge renaissance here last year. Honestly, in my opinion, I think the best year of his career. Well, again, the 5.1 yards per carry in his, I guess, sophomore season 2022 might be the one that thrills you. I still think last year he was a more valuable piece of that offense. He was just as explosive as he was in 2022, if not more explosive. And a lot of these big-time plays they got out of him were because of him kind of just manufacturing yardage. Because I don't think that offensive line, if I'm not mistaken, they were like 20th in yards created per attempt. And that's just not something that I think is, again, super suitable for a guy like Etienne, who's a very big, get the first yard and then get going sort of guy. The fact that he was able to break tackles the rate he was last year, also be able to create yardage and anticipate lanes like that. And just over the instinctual improvement from, again, an atrocious 2024 and a kind of an inefficient 2023 in a lot of ways were huge upsides for me. And again, he's just a guy I look at, I'm like, that is the guy I want. And again, he finally put it together. Receiving wise, obviously not again the greatest of numbers, but again, he caught 6 touchdowns. He was a very big time threat in terms of these kind of short dump offs, obviously. And obviously his route running, I think he's gotten a little better as well. Pass protection, obviously still not big with him, but he's definitely a true number 1 back, and he's a guy that I think in an offense that hasn't really had this, again, dominant runner really, again, consistently since Mark Ingram was here back in 2018. Love Alvin Kamara, but let's be honest, guys, he is not a natural, true, I'm just going to blow you up sort of running back. He's never had 1,000 yards in his career. But again, this kind of guy that you're looking at who's going to be that stud, again, obviously Alvin Kamara is there, but Travis Etienne, I think, is that guy. He's probably the best true runner they've had since Mark Ingram in a lot of ways. Alvin Kamara, obviously, guys, he's been, again, 950 yards in 2024. Again, if he didn't get injured those last 3 games, which, again, they were already out of the playoffs, he probably would have got his first 1,000-yard year. That is probably a distant thing that's not going to happen for him because his usage is going to be going down. He's already 31 years old. Took a pay cut to be playing on this team. Also, happy belated birthday, I guess, for him as well. Last year, he was absolutely miserable. Again, he's probably not going to get this usage this year. You look at Alvin Kamara really the past couple years. Obviously, that Christmas year, he was awesome. 16 touchdowns. 2021, again, still a solid year overall. 240 carries, which was a career high. He was really the only guy in that offense. 2022, at least efficiency-wise, again, I don't think he was that bad. He just didn't look the same player, though. 23, he was still pretty decent. Again, the yards per carry definitely went down. In 2024, that was kind of the big bounce-back year. Again, career high in rushing yards. But again, you look at him last year, and it's just like he doesn't have it. Again, receiving is way down, too. I still think he'll be a guy that'll be a third down back for them for sure and still get used quite a lot. But he's still not getting... Travis Etienne's a starting back. We know that. They brought him in because they needed a guy that can actually finally be able to run the ball consistently. Alvin Kamara, outside of that week 1 game, really sucked last year. I'm just not going to lie to y'all. I guess week 2 he wasn't too bad, but again, that 18-yard touchdown was really the only explosive running we saw him at all year. And again, he really never was much of a factor as a receiver either. So for me, for a guy like Alvin Kamara who just was absolutely miserable last year, again, as a backup, he should be fine, but they brought Travis Etienne to kind of solve that issue. Devin Neal sucks. I don't really know what to tell you guys. He's slow, and he's not particularly threatening, and that's just not a good combo. And you have also Kenner Miller, who was, I guess, okay last year. He's a guy that does give you at least some thump. at times, but still last year, I mean, he was kind of unusable on third down. He can't protect to save his life. So you got two guys there that are kind of flawed in a lot of ways, and then you got, again, a guy like Travis Etienne who will be getting a big workload without Kamara kind of helping him out. Overall, for me, I think it's not even that bad of a situation. I'll say it's a B. I want to give it a B+, but I don't think Travis Etienne is, again, completely put that together. You know what, screw it, we'll give it a B+. It's a good situation going on there. That's going to be 27 points, and now we'll get to the title of this video with the Saints receiving core, and I really love this duo. I honestly think this is the best wide receiver duo in terms of ceiling going into this year. Chris Olave, everyone thought he was dead after that. He got decapitated 2 years ago. Last year, he just had the best year of his career with 1,100 yards. I think this is a true breakout season, in my opinion, because, again, 2022, he came out as a rookie, had a big-time year. His route tree was absolutely nuts. Still, though, wasn't very consistent down the field. 2023, again, big-time season. There's not really much else to say there. He was consistent with Derek Carr. 2024, again, that was the big concern with the concussions. And last year just went out and went off. I would like to say I think he can't get over 1,400 yards this season if he really gets going. But obviously, he's an absolute stud, guys. He's a true number one guy. It's just, can he be more of an X in this offense? To kind of take a little bit more of the burden off of Jordan Tyson, at least early in the season, because he's obviously a Z receiver. We know that. But again, if he can kind of adapt a little bit of a role there could definitely be something there to kind of help out Jordan Tyson, who obviously would be the X on most downs. And for Jordan Tyson, he was my number one receiver in this year's draft. He's not particularly, again, elite in terms of athleticism and speed. Still, again, very, very good. The biggest thing with him, though, was his body control and just his overall dominance, again, on kind of balls that are in tough spots, is just off the charts. Jordan Tyson, separation, top of the route, definitely there. But the biggest thing for me is he's just a guy that, he has the highest ceiling out of those three guys. Again, out of the big three with him and Kyle Lemon and Carnell Tate. Then you have Devon Vele, who honestly is a really solid third receiver. Last year, again, after getting traded, I don't think he was as effective as he was in Denver, really just because, again, they didn't really utilize his yak ability. And they kind of tried to make him more of a intermediate threat, which he really just isn't, because he doesn't have the speed or the vertical aptitude consistently to be able to do things like that. Still, though, as a third option, I think he could definitely be solid. You have Bryce Lance who again is an absolute bombshell out of North Dakota State. He's a guy that's going to take the top off the defense. His route tree is awful. He probably maybe get, again, 2 digs once in a while that are decent out of him. Top of the route needs a lot of work. Overall, his footwork on releases is also an issue, but he has just so much power and just kind of ability to stack consistently early in the down to be a guy you're going to get the ball to. Also, his hands are very, very solid. Again, is he the brother of Trey Lance? You bet. But yeah, he definitely has that athleticism. I expect this guy to be on the field a lot. He's a really good player. Jalen Polk, I don't want to talk about him because he sucks. Ronnie Bell and Mason Tippmann and Trey Palmer all have just fallen off cliffs. Bub Means, Kevin Austin, those guys were in this offense at some point. Both those guys suck. I don't even know who Barry Brown is. I'm just not going to lie to y'all. I've watched a little bit of LSU ball, but this is just not a guy who really is on the field much and really effective enough for me to really get fall into this guy's lap in terms of football numbers. And you look at this is like, he's an absolute, scrub. Like, what are we doing here? I will say he's got he's decent in terms of short route running. But again, all three of these guys have done things in the past, but they're all, again, just a bunch of scrubs after those first 4. I expect Jalen Polk, though, to make the roster because he is a talented player. There's a reason he was taken in the second round. But obviously, this is a dude that, oh my God, what a picture, that has fallen pretty far from where he was coming out of college. For me, though, this wide receiver core is really freaking good. I'm going to give it an A-. I can't give it an A because, again, Jordan Tyson injuries are a thing. And, again, they don't really have a ton. I give it an A. I'm bullish on this receiving core, guys. I really just am. Obviously, it's the top 2 that I'm really going for, but still, again, the top 4, I'm pretty confident. After that, it's like, what are we doing? But that might be people. Fine, I'll give it an A-. But I really like this receiving core. That's what I'm really on with this team. Now tight end, very underrated group. None of these guys can block really at all. Jawan Johnson at least has become at least somewhat technically sound. Again, they really just threw the ball to him last year and he just feasted. This is a guy that throughout his career though with the Saints, outside of I guess that 2021 season, who has been a very effective receiver. The biggest thing with him is that he's able to get over the heads of linebackers so easily, and he's very, very good against zone. Just a great sense. He's 29, yes, but he's still a very, very confident tight end there. Is he a top 10 guy? Maybe. He had 8 or 9 yards, guys. This is a dude that is a very reliable guy for y'all. Again, definitely at the highest of ceilings, but he's a really solid guy. And you also have Noah Fant, who, again, really throughout his career has been this kind of athletic dude. Last year starting for the Bengals wasn't exactly awesome, but he's still a good option. Again, best year, honestly, I think, since that breakout 2020 season with the Broncos, where he's, again, really put up solid numbers. But still, for me, Noah Fant, again, he's a good guy. It should be a really good 1-2 combo. He's at least a little bit better as a blocker. Oscar Delp, though, I think this is a guy that will get, again, significant snaps in this offense, especially in 13 personnel, because of the fact that you just get, again, such technically sound blocking on top of the fact that he's a guy that can be a yak threat underneath. And, yeah, while his vertical route tree is definitely limited, can still be a threat there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do run a lot of 13 personnel because these 3 tight ends are all very, very I'm very confident in them. If that reason, I'm going to give them an A. Well, again, this tight end room, again, overall prod, there's not one guy particularly I could really call that. But Juwan Johnson, he put up the numbers last year, and he's a very solid good player. Noah Fant is, again, really solid, I guess, backup. You could even start him. And then, like I said, Oscar Dub is just the X factor there. I got to say it's an A. It's one of the more well-rounded tight end cores in the league. And unlike, again, a team like the Rams, who you, again, like, we'll give it an A-. But the reason the Rams might not be here is because of the fact that they don't, again, I think Tarek Ferguson could be there. The ceiling in the tight end room is just higher there. That's why they're there. Still, what is that? 6, 12, 18, 20. What am I doing? 6, 12, 18, 20 points there. That was a long, but again, I really love this skill position group. It's just my really where I'm at there. All right, guys, before we get to the overall offensive grade, we will talk about this offensive line. In my opinion, this is definitely a pretty solid group. Kelvin Banks Jr. had a really nice rookie season. Right? Yeah. Anyways, pass protection-wise, kind of inconsistent, but still a guy you look at towards the end of the year who really found his ground. He anchored so well, honestly, throughout the year, which is kind of a big reason why against power, where he really didn't have a lot of trouble. Certain guys definitely got around, used their bend to get around him. I think that his uncanny ability to kind of make up for that in certain situations where he anticipated how edge rusher was kind of going to beat him with the second step and kind of, again, jumped on those was huge. I don't think that anticipation will, again, last too long for them, though, because it's just not a sustainable way to stop those rushes. But Kelvin Banks, he's a really good player, and he should be their starting tackle for years to come. Barry Wesley, honestly, guys, I have nothing really to say here. He, again, at least athletically, he's definitely there. I just don't think his technique is honestly even okay. I'm going to see the reports with him on training camp. David Edwards is an average guard. At times he's been below average. At times he's been above average. Really looking, again, when he came in with the Rams. But honestly, he's just kind of an average guy at the end of the day. I want to go deeper in on his overall profile, but there's really no point in doing so. Dylan Radunz, former Titans pick. Again, he's supposed to be a tackle guard of sorts. He's a solid backup. Really, the biggest problem with him is that he can't consistently stop power against these twitchier dudes on the inside, which, again, is really the reason that he hasn't really been able to kind of jump into a starting spot despite him being a really overall effective run blocker. Eric McCoy, he's been one of the more highly touted centers for a while now, but he's never really been able to stay healthy. Biggest thing with him that, again, really allows him to be good is that his agility is really good for this position. Also, he has a very solid base. Not really, again, anything that, again, with his technique, just his overall base in terms of what you're going to see with him against nose tackles is a very, again, good thing with him is why that's why he's an above average player. Still, though, Eric McCoy, injury concerns has been like really the past couple of years that have been the issue, but still, he's obviously a very solid player. Simpkins out of South Carolina. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do not know who this dude is. I will watch him in his tape. I know he's played. Again, when I'm watching this offensive line in unison, he's not the one I'm focusing on. Cesar Ruiz, average guard. He does his job. Jeremiah Wright, maybe not so much. Out of Auburn, last year he was a very aggressive player. I'm not remembering the name, but the Georgia guy that I went in depth on with y'all for the interior offensive lineman in the offensive lineman prospect features. He's a guy that very, very similar player. The difference is that I think he is at least somewhat more apt as a pass blocker, but still nothing special. And then Talisi Falaga, interesting rookie season, but this guy's been an absolute beast. And then Xavier Truss, he's coming out of Georgia a couple of years ago. He's just kind of around. The depth is questionable, but there's definitely some guys that I like. I got to definitely get into Simpkins. The PFF likes him, which I guess is good in some right. Again, I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched completely all these guys' tape, but I know at least some things that are going on. So he's flying, like I said. He's going to be good. A little bit disappointing rookie year. For me, this offensive line is going to get a B-. I think it's a decent group. And although you have 2 high potential tackles, one guy that's definitely proven himself, again, a really above average guy who can't stay healthy at center. That's why the depth can be tested. And then 2 probably average guards. I think a B- is fair, though. I like the potential there. So 6, 12, 14 points. Add that all up. That's going to be 20, 27, 30, 20, 14, 111 points for this offense. That's going to put them in the B- tier, which is where they belong. A lot of talent on this offense. It's just how much are they going to put together? And really the biggest thing is, like, what are we going to see on a consistent level with this team? Because if we see stuff that's good, who knows? All right, guys, on the defensive side of the ball, we do a 3-4, which is we do. We have a 3-4 defense, which is really nice to talk about. But yeah, we'll do the front 7, then we'll go into the secondary before the defense is figured out, and then we'll do our thing after that. Anyways, though, we look at this Saints D-line. It is a very fun group to look at. First off, Cam Jordan kind of renaissance here last year with 10.5 sacks. Was it really a true 10.5 sack season? Definitely not, but He's been around since 2011. He'll be a Hall of Famer. He's 37 years old. He's kind of given one last ride. He was awful in 2023. 2024 kind of looked like a hurrah year. But then last year, he just came out of nowhere and had his best year since, honestly, 21, to be honest with you guys. He was good in 22, but just as a pass rusher and efficiency-wise, he was there last year. And really the biggest difference in the game was that he just had more burst in terms of just the bull rush, which again really set up a lot of the more straight arm moves and a lot of these more lateral sort of techie stuff, which he really hasn't done a ton of his career. He's really just a pure power guy. So the fact that that's became more of his game is really nice. And again, him at 3 tech is a lot more. It's a lot more of the liking with him being 37. But hey, he's an effective guy, even though against the red he's kind of useless. Not totally. Vernon Broden. No idea who this dude is. Not even gonna lie. I know he got bad injury. Don't know who this dude is. A lot of training camp stuff I'll talk about with him. Tyree Wilson. They brought him in. He is not an interior guy against the run. He has been not good in his career. Huge bust. Obviously, he's a 3rd overall pick. Or 7th, my bad. High potential, maybe. I don't want to talk about Tyree Wilson, guys. We'll see what happens. They traded for him. He'll definitely get in a little bit. He's just too good not to. Devon Gottschall. Solid defensive tackle. Or nose tackle. He has 5.5 combined sacks in his career. Against the run, he has been an elite guy at times. Really, you're looking at those couple years with the Patriots. Last year, I think he was a little bit more of a leverage manipulator than anything. But honestly, he's going to give you solid play anyway. Christian Miller, definitely a little bit higher pass rush upside. Still nothing special. I still think he's a little stronger than Devon Gottschall, which is, again, is the reason I think he'll get started in the future. Because, again, you'll get Devon Gottschall at 31. You're thinking maybe Christian Miller could start at some point. Again, probably be an average guy at best in his career, but he's still a guy you want to give some options to. Christian Boyd, get out of here. Brian Brzee, he is a horrible run defender. He just is. He is a really bad run defender. He gets moved consistently and even washed out in some situations. There's no real shedding going on, to be honest, guys. That's the best way I can put it. Still, though, he cleaned up a little bit better last year. I guess career high 7 stuff, which I don't even know how they calculate that because half the snaps, again, I don't even know what he's doing. The sack total definitely went down, but I think the pressure rate was still really similar, so I don't really care there. He's a pass rush first guy there. John Ridgway's not a bad player either. He really hasn't gotten a ton of playing time in his career, but he definitely, at least with the Commanders, did some good things. For me, though, this overall D-line, I'll probably give it a B-. It's a good group. It's just the fact that I don't think, again, Devon Gottschall is like a C+. We'll give it a B. Brian Brzee overall probably doesn't give me those vibes totally. Again, just because he's so bad against the run. But again, he gives you the pass rush. You're like, who really cares? Again, Cam Jordan's going to be good. And I do like the depth. I think, yeah, we'll give it a B. It's a good group. 6'12", 16 points at the D-line. Now we move into the linebackers before we look at the pass rush. And these linebackers are really good. Caden Ellis had the best year of his career last year with 59 tackles, 3.5 sacks with Atlanta. He was just absolutely gross coming back from the Saints. He started 1 year with the Saints. He was really good in coverage. And the next 2 years in Atlanta kind of struggled in coverage. Last year, though, in zone, they really had him based in there. A lot of these kind of flat underneath things. He was basically breaking up every single pass that he anticipated. And, yeah, the tackle rate wasn't completely as good, but he did a lot of good things underneath, which I think is the biggest reason he's here. So maybe he's not this, again, like overzealous sort of guy, but if we're talking about him being able to be, again, this kind of underneath presence, consistently not shutting things down, he's going to be your guy. Pete Werner, really good season last year as well. Very reliable. Really, the only problem with him is that he's not a guy that's going to be consistently taking on blocks at the highest of levels. But he still, again, does a decent enough job in terms of his gap discipline to kind of not make that of a problem. And then really that's all I have there. Stallbird, I want to see this dude play more. I know last year he got definitely a decent run towards the end of the year. I don't remember him in 2024, though, to be honest with you guys. The biggest thing with him is, though, he is an effective man guy against tight ends, so we'll see how that keeps developing. Danny Stutson might get a chance to play. Last year, kind of a situational guy for sure. Last year, still got a lot of playing time, now that I think about it, though. Really biggest thing with him is that he did a really good job at staying grounded, which made it a lot easier for him to take on some of those more lead blocking situations. Jalen Ford, I don't expect to get on the field, but again, he's a guy that broke down in the past. For me, I'll give the linebackers a B. Yeah, probably a B. It's a good group. The biggest problem is I don't think either. Again, they're definitely situational guys. Pete Werner definitely I think is a guy that could grow into a little bit more of a role, but since he's not as effective against the run, I'm gonna say a B. He's definitely the most versatile guy they have though. 27 points though at linebacker. Now we move into this pass rush, and overall it's definitely a group that has in the interior you're gonna get a pretty high consistency just because of the fact that Cam Jordan just the season he had last year. Ridgeway I think could definitely do something, and obviously Brian Brzee is that. Interior presence for sure. Off the edge, Kyle Granderson kind of had a rough year last year. The pressure rate still was there. Just I don't think his number one move really was there throughout the season. That's just kind of again, it's a pin pull, not really a true swim because he pins and then he pulls out. No Diddy. Anyways, though, and the numbers have been very consistent throughout his career. Though, again, is he even a consistent number 2 guy? Maybe not always, but he's a guy you're gonna get numbers out of. And then obviously Chase Young, again with the scoop and score last season, he had the best year he's had since honestly his rookie season. Chase Young kind of went off last year in a lot of ways. Against the run, he's never really been that much of an effective player. The biggest thing with him last year before the injury was that he consistently got to the edge better than another guy. You might be like, yeah, no shit, but yeah. Guys, Chase Young, great season last year. The athleticism there. Again, he's a talented player. We know that. So, Chase Young, hats off to you. Is he a true number 1 guy? We'll see. And Fernie Jenkins, the story's always been the same with him. Last year, I think his numbers were definitely better last year. He's a really good run defender, and he can kind of get into coverage. So, very versatile, being never much of an effective pass rusher. Fidel Diggs, honestly, a guy that I want to see a lot more of. Again, this is a guy that really hasn't played, again, at all in the league. But he's a guy that does have a decent inside counter, so we'll see how that kind of works in this group. But he definitely should get some decent pass rush snaps there. And he also got Chris Rumpf. For me overall, I'm going to give this pass rush a B. Again, I don't think Chase Young's season was as sustainable, but still, again, if he goes off again, guys, he's a true number 1 guy. Carl Granderson's a good second option. Just the depth isn't quite there. The interior should be good too. Again, you could definitely give it a B plus if you wanted to, but I'm going to stick it at a B. 12-24, I'm going to say 32 points there for the pass rush. I think that's where they're at. Now let's look at the secondary. Okay, now looking at this Saints secondary before the overall defensive grade gets, combobulated. This is definitely a group that is high risk this season, just because of the fact of the guys they kind of have in terms of these crucial roles. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I'm not going to lie to y'all, wasn't amazing last year. As a rookie, I think he was a little bit better in man coverage. Last year in press, he was kind of dominant. The problem was that once you got into the zone, he kind of got overexposed. A lot of the balls that got thrown over his head was because of the fact that he just didn't have a comfortable feel of, again, the overall coverage look. And just those kind of instances are kind of a little bit scary for me. Still, though, he's going to be a guy that's going to give you high-level man coverage, and you're kind of just kind of have to deal with the zone issues. TJ Hall, out of Iowa, he's burnt toast. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But the biggest thing with him is that he does strike the ball well enough, so I guess there's a little bit more of a dime potential there too. Quincy Riley, he's a below average guy overall. The biggest thing with him, though, is that he does not get beat over the top consistently, so you do at least get some good play there with him. But again, against the run, you don't really want things going on there, and even in zone. Again, I wouldn't say he's as uncomfortable as Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he's just not a high upside player. And then obviously you have Martin Emerson Jr. here as well. He's a guy that I really like a lot because of the fact that, again, I'm joking. Martin Emerson Jr. was one of the best quarterbacks in football in 2023. 24 got targeted a lot more. He was definitely more effective against the run, though, and in man coverage, I honestly think he was even better. Then obviously the torn Achilles in 2025, didn't play at all, and obviously didn't get signed either. It was a very weird situation with him, but still, he's a guy that I think, again, at least we've seen him play at an elite level in the past, so who knows what's really going to go on with him, but he definitely will have a major role in this defense. Isaac Yiadom, honestly, he's not that bad. He's been a good dime look for them the past couple years. He's obviously older, solid vet, though. He understands coverage very, very well. At 30 years old, though, again, you're definitely not getting the highest level of man separation race, but he's still a guy I think you can definitely, at least put some faith into. Also, Jordan Howden, he's here in the slot. He's a do-it-all dude. He doesn't really miss tackles. Last year, the biggest problem with him was that he just simply never really got in the play against the run. But again, you're going to get very, very solid, versatile looks with him as a cover guy. So Jordan Howden's a really solid nickel. Lorenzo Styles Jr., he's still athletic, but we still don't really, again, the jury's really out on him just because he's out of Ohio State. And he's still not a guy that I'm not really bought in on because his tackling technique is rough and his overall instinctual reliance is a kind of an issue. Beanie Bishop, why'd you get suspended? I don't know. I kind of forgot why. But yeah, he's been good in the past. He's supposed to be their true nickel, but I think Jordan Howden will be chilling. For me, this quarterback room is going to get a B-. It's kind of a high-risk group just because, like I said, there's definitely some weaknesses going on. Still, no, it's that big of a deal. Not really. 14 points, though. Now for the safeties, really solid group. Justin Reed has been a reliable starter for a long time now. Never really been good in coverage, but who really cares because he cleans up against the run and forces turnovers. Yeah, we know what's up with Justin Reed. And he can also kick if you need him to do that, too. They also have Jonas Sanker. He's going to be a solid, box guy for them. They also have Julian Blackman, who will be their primary rangy sort of dude. He got injured last year, kind of sucked. I think he'll be completely healthy. Hit the issue injury 2021, had the best year next year in 2022. 23-24 kind of sucked in a lot of ways. Not in terms of coverage. He actually was good at breaking up passes, but in the open field, really just wasn't a guy you want to watch. He kind of got burned a couple times. But still, he's a solid boundary sort of guy at times, and also he is a guy that against the run can be pretty effective in terms of understanding leverage. Still, though, for me, the safety room is going to get a B. I want to give it a B+. It's just, again, the injury with Blackman, you got to at least take something into account there. And, again, the coverage isn't amazing there in terms of the reliability. But 33 points, no, that's not true. 9, 18, 24 points there. If we add all that up in terms of what we got here, we have 27, 16, 32, 14, 24. That's going to be 113 points to this defense. That's going to put them in the B- here, which is where they belong. Solid defense. Okay, let's see how deep this team is, because honestly, it's not looking too bad as we get into the next section. And the overall grade, yes, soon will be revealed. Okay, guys, Saints special teams unit is definitely a whirlwind. Charlie Smith, the Irish man, who obviously was the hero in that week 15 game against the Panthers, really won 2017. Upset them there. He's got a big leg, and he's very, very solid. The biggest issue I think with him is kind of the wind. No, he's a good kicker. We know that. Ryan Wright, below average punter. Is he bad? No, he's just below average, at least statistically. Barry Brown, he's fast. I can tell you that right now. He's fast, but yeah, that's why he's on the team. I don't really think he's that good as a receiver. Zach Wood. I couldn't tell you who that dude is, but he's a long snapper, so cool. The special teams unit in the past has had some issues. I'm going to give him a C+. I don't love it, but maybe we'll give it a C. It's not the worst in the world. Again, I think Charlie Smith's going to be a dog. He'll definitely be a story. Depth. Quarterback depth. C. Running back depth, probably a B-, I guess. So we'll probably say we're at a C+ so far. Receiver depth, I'd probably give it a C+. So we're still saying, yeah, C. Well, I'll say we're sitting this at a C+ so far. Tight end depth, I give it A+, so we're probably at a, what? A B- now. O-line depth, probably a C+, so I'll just say we're showing it a B-. D-line, I give a B, so I'd say we're still showing it a B-. Linebacker depth, I'd probably give a B-, showing it a B-. Edge rush depth, I'd probably give a C+, again, still a B-. Cornerback depth, overall, in terms of the potential, probably a B. So I think we're actually up to a B. Safety depth, again, while there's not a lot of it, it's probably still a C+. I'm going to honestly say a B. I think the Saints have solid depth overall. There's really no position where I'm like, yeah, that's kind of sketchy outside of a guest receiver. But even then, again, yeah, that's just actually true. Receiver's the real sketchy one. But other than that, I think they're chilling. Really, there's no position where I'm like, yeah, that's going to be an issue if one of these guys gets hurt. Outside of against Chase Young. So we'll say a B. It's a good group in terms of the depth there. 12, 24, 32 points, I think. Yeah. Identity. Kellen Moore had a pretty solid first year with this team. Again, they started 1-8 though. I think the biggest thing with them is, again, they have an easy schedule. If they can build things up offensively throughout the year, I think that'll be huge. It's just the fact, how's the running back timeshare going to work out? And defensively, can they really put this solid group together and really, again, because they don't have a true elite guy on the defense, let's be honest. But if one of those guys emerges, Chase Young, can he put it together? Those sort of things. I like those questions. They're good ones to have. I'm going to say a B for their identity. I like where this team's going. It's me 15, what is that? 40 points? Yeah. And if we added that up for the overall roster, I think it's, 111 plus 113 plus 32 plus 40 plus 5. 301 points for the Saints team. Nice voice crack. That is going to put them in the B tier. Honestly, that's where this team roster belongs. Honestly, guys, this Saints roster might be, again, I don't think it's good as the Bucs, but it's up there. This is arguably the best roster in the NFC South. The biggest problem with this team is that, they don't really have these truly elite players. But offensively, there's a very high ceiling with what's going on here. It is a good group. And again, like I said, there's really no hole on this roster. There just isn't. Again, quarterback uncertainty, go ahead. But outside of that, I like where this team's going. Obviously, they don't really have a true zone option on this defensive side of the ball. They just don't. I guess you sort of get with that Jordan Howden, but you just don't. So, again, until you get Martin Emerson immersed in this defense, I'm not totally bought in. Just because of that. But other than that, guys, this is a very good roster. It just is. It's a really just well thought out group. Again, from where they were last year, you kind of got to be like, what the heck happened? Still, though, do I see this team winning, 10 games winning this division? Probably not. But honestly, go ahead and do it if you want to in your predictions, because this is a solid roster. And again, it's not like, there's not really many scrubs in this group. Really like where the Saints are going. That's all I have for y'all here. Again, like and subscribe. See you for the next team this series, because again, we're wheeling right now.